People come in a variety of forms, race, gender and sexual orientation amongst them. But is it possible to be converted into something else? More specifically, can you be converted from being gay to being straight? The majority of people would say no, including most of the leading authorities, but there are those who believe you can. I'm on my way right now to a church a few hundred metres away from the Houses of Parliament in Westminster to a Transformation Potential Conference, otherwise known as Gay Conversion.
According to Jesus, are worse than polygamous ones. So it's not a question of a slippery slope where things are going to get worse if we accept homosexual unions. In Jesus' understanding, the worst would have already happened in embracing homosexual unions.
What I discovered was that my same-sex attraction was in fact a symptom, if you will, of what was yet an unresolved identification with my own gender. Duh!
Sexual orientation is neither innate nor is it immutable. And so the scientific basis for this memorandum, it seems to me, is now shot.
The BBC, could you please leave? Fairness to the speakers.
Due to being removed repeatedly because of sensitive subjects, I didn't really get a chance to see much of the conference. But I was given the opportunity to talk to a selected group of speakers to find out more about their views.
So would you say now you have no homosexual tendencies?
No, I would never claim that. There's some inclinations that remain, and I accept that as part of my humanity, and I'm okay with it.
But you said in the eyes of God it is not perfect to be homosexual, so do you feel like you will always be flawed then if you have homosexual tendencies?
Am I always flawed? I think this side of heaven we are all flawed, and if that's an aspect of my flawed humanity, I'm okay with it. I think weakness is different from volitional sinning.
Why do you think men are gay, are homosexual?
I think, among other reasons, that there is a kind of disintegration in his own masculine identity. If there was not, then he wouldn't be longing for someone who is just like him.
The Core Issues Trust, along with Christian Concern, are organisations firmly committed to the practice of helping people change or reduce what they call their homosexual tendencies. Just this month in the United States, President Barack Obama called for an end to the exact psychiatric methods practiced by the organisation and their potentially devastating effects. Core Issues, though, argue their practices are simply talking therapies, designed to help those wanting to move quietly, honourably and respectfully out of homosexual practice.
Just like a therapist asked me, for example, if I'd been sexually abused, and I said no, because I hadn't been. And she said, I think it will be there. You've allowed things to be done to you. And then she prayed to God to bring those memories to the surface.
Homosexuality is complex, it's never one thing. What you deal with when people come to you might relate to depression, it might be a sense of body image, it may be a lack of assertiveness. The methods that we use today are essentially talking therapies. What that means is that we use standard psychotherapeutic and counselling techniques.
When I later asked who might have committed the abuse and whether it might have been someone in my family, she replied, yes, very likely. In other words, you have a situation where a therapist who is with a potentially very vulnerable person is suggesting to them that a member of their family sexually abused them.
What we object to is the claim that sexual orientation can change and that people are broken, that they need therapy. I would repeat, there's just no evidence that that's true.
I went undercover in 2009 to investigate conversion therapy in Britain. As a result of my investigations, which were published the following year, I then fought a case against one of the conversion therapists, and I won that case, and she became the first therapist to be struck off her professional body for attempting to cure a patient of their homosexuality.
Any therapeutic offering is a free will, free gift offering. So I actually don't buy what is now being framed by Obama, perhaps by some therapists in the UK, as this aggressive, almost proselytizing act on the part of a set of Christian therapists. I do not see the evidence of that. I think it's the role of therapy to help a young person who is seeking help to sort out what his or her options are, and to make clear that there are options for looking at homosexuality in ways other than just, you're born this way, make peace with it.
Here in the UK, the practices are legal, and back in 2009, a survey found 16% of therapists had attempted gay conversion therapy. The UK's Department of Health in January of this year brought together 14 signatories, including NHS England and the Royal College of Psychiatrists, to sign a Memorandum of Understanding, putting clear their position that efforts to try to change or alter sexual orientation through therapies are unethical and potentially harmful.
Should core issues and other organisations be banned?
No, I don't think, I think the government was wise not to ban them. We don't ban, there's lots of kooky therapies out there for all sorts of things, and we don't ban them. We warn against them, but this time I think it was better to put the evidence out there and to say that any therapist with a respected association would not undertake these treatments because they're harmful and they have no evidence to back them up.
This is potentially harmful. Note, potentially, not actually. They can't say actually because they do not have the peer-reviewed research to be able to back that up.
Are you not considering homosexuality a mental disorder?
No, I don't.
So what do you consider it?
I consider it a moral conflict for some that they want to seek to resolve.
What exactly is a moral conflict though in relation to things?
That they, due to their faith commitment, cannot in good conscience assume a gay identity and act on that with other members of their own gender in good conscience.
Do you believe men are born gay?
No.
So where does it come from then?
Oh, I think it's complicated, right? I think there's many factors that contribute: temperament, family of origin, the culture around us, what we do with our inclinations. So let's say someone has a same-sex attraction and at 8 years old starts connecting with internet pornography the way so many kids do, and it's in the homosexual direction. That is going to so strengthen the charge. It changes the mind, the impact of the stimulus that we connect with.
Why did they originally have the homosexual tendencies?
Well, some of the reasons I've talked about, some of the early, the gaps, the disintegration in the process of becoming a whole enough man or woman.
In effect, I suppose you're saying it is a disorder then, because it's something that happened that is not, therefore not natural, therefore it's disorderly.
Well, yeah, I would say it's a kind of disorder. I wouldn't say that's a mental illness, and there's a difference there.
There is a culture war going on, and that war is between fundamentalists who seek to eradicate an entire minority and that minority itself.
Gay conversion has moved on from the dark practice it was 60 years ago, involving electric shock treatments, nausea tablets, and a number of other controversial tactics. But the question amongst the highest authorities seems not to be whether it works, but how damaging it is. And the community themselves would even admit a full transformation is very, very unlikely.
So is it possible then for somebody who is homosexual to not be homosexual?
It's possible for a person with same-sex attractions not to be enslaved by those attractions.
But can you become heterosexual once you've been homosexual?
Some persons have experienced significant diminishment of same-sex attractions and some degree of heterosexual functioning. Sometimes that heterosexual functioning involves attraction to a particular person of the other sex rather than the other sex generically.
But the actual transformation from homosexual to heterosexual is a rare occurrence?
I would say it's a minority. If you mean a full transformation where you lose all homosexual desire and gain complete heterosexual functioning, that is certainly the exception rather than the rule.